Welcome back everyone for an exciting Sekai Cobra Kai Season 6 Watch Party! The tournament is happening in Part 2 and it's gonna be massive, likely stretching the entire 5 episodes. So the natural question is, with such a huge tournament on the horizon, what is gonna happen? We do have a few peeks from the released Netflix footage, but we can combine that with some clues left from none other than Mike Barnes. You remember that Mike Barnes was familiar with the Sekai Taikai and had hoped to compete in it himself. He designed his elimination and testing rounds to weed out those who weren't ready for the biggest karate tournament in the world. It's possible then, from that, we can gauge what is to come. It likely won't be an exact 1-for-1, but perhaps we can get an idea of the sort of contest there will be. It's worth noting the only glimpses we have so far just appear to be fights. While they're definitely multi-person events, there isn't much else going on. So surely it's not just multiple rounds of sparring with different number of people going at it. Let's examine the tests Barnes had them go through. His first round of eliminations were tests of strength, speed, endurance, and teamwork. Now for a strength test, he just had board breaking. It's nice, but not exactly difficult. These boards are thin. People can break these without any training. It's not that hard. Seriously, you could do it. I mean, for a bit of a challenge, at least break several together at once, but they didn't even do that. It's worth noting this was also featured in the All Valley, as it's kind of a karate martial arts staple move. Next is the speed. Here, he had them catch a chicken. Now if Barnes were truly serious, they should have ran after a chicken with his head cut off. But I guess this show and Mike Barnes has gotten soft. I will say this is as much agility as it is straight speed, but those mostly fall under the same category anyway. Now Kenny caught the chicken, and Barnes later says, no one catches the chicken. That brings an interesting question. How is he going to judge the category then? Was he just looking at who got close to the chicken even though they didn't catch it? Plus, whatever happens, I don't think the Sekai Taikai is going to have an event like this. Can you imagine a chicken loose in the arena and everyone running to catch it? It doesn't gel. And for some reason, it feels too much like catching the golden snitch in Harry Potter. Do you want some sort of contest where the teammates are fighting while one person on the side has to catch a chicken or some sort of difficult to grab item? I'm hoping the Sekai Taikai isn't like Quidditch. Now there was also an endurance test, holding the rock in a phantom chair. What this is really testing, I don't know. The phantom chair is kind of a stupid gimmick to begin with. Is this supposed to test how long they can last in a fight? It wouldn't. Running another endurance would probably be better than this. I also can't imagine the Sekai Taikai having an event like this. It's not making sense to me. I'm not sure we're going to see anything like this. But now, can anything in the actual tournament be somehow like any of these tests? I do suspect overall, broadly, there could be. This is what I call the Mortal Kombat model. You remember in Mortal Kombat they had all the fighting, but then there were these test your strength events with breaking. While it's not going to be exactly like that, I can see perhaps maybe they have these sort of small side events within the Sekai Taikai. That involves strength, endurance, and speed. Think of it as like the slam dunk contest during the NBA All-Star game or anything like that. But then do any of these mini contests play into the overall picture? Perhaps. Maybe you can earn a certain leg up in a bigger event. Or perhaps it's just the mini games. If that were the case, using them as a qualifier doesn't make as much sense. There is another possibility for these sort of mini games. Perhaps they come up as tiebreakers. While there are obviously many events going on, it's possible there could be ties between teams because it's not like everyone's fighting until the last man standing. That would mean a breaking contest or catch a chicken sort of thing could be used as a tiebreaker for that one event. That is something to be on the lookout for. Next was the team-up event. This is a little strange because it pitted 2 fighters against like 10 others. Who was being tested? The team of 2? The team of 10? Or all of them? Obviously Miguel and Robbie did well, while Bert and Chris, not so much. Now, is the purpose to see how well you fare against overwhelming odds? Or is it just something Barnes came up with? But what's more interesting is this could be something we've already seen in the Sekai Taikai. We do have this brief glimpse from part 2. You can see Hawk and it looks like Dimitri is behind it. Could they be on a team against many others? It's possible, as they are a natural team up for Miyagi-Do. However, there is also this girl here, so there must be someone else on the ground. Still, it could be something like a 3-on-5 event and you score on how well you manage. Having intentionally unfair fights would be an interesting category and certainly would make the tournament different from anything that came before it. If Hawk were to go into rage mode and still manage to win this unfair fight, it would prove Hawk is the greatest character and karate fighter ever, but that's another video. Next, Mike Barnes ran the red flag contest. Okay, this is a fun one. It's a combination of karate fighting as well as speed and agility and perhaps a little bit of ninja-like invisibility. If you can sneak up on someone and grab a bunch of flags, you're at a huge advantage. The scoring was a little confusing. It wasn't like Barnes went directly with who had the most red flags, although that's certainly part of it. He was looking at the overall fighters and how they were performing. I do feel like luck plays into it somewhat, and it certainly hit Hawk hard. And obviously Da-Eun was getting shafted too. Now, will there actually be something like this at the Sekai Taikai? That is tough to say. An all-out brawl capture the flag sort of event sounds cool, but feels like it could be a disorganized mess. Not to mention, the main stage is the smallest in the Karate Kid franchise. However, it is worth noting that in the sneak footage of Hawk, we already see that they're fighting off the mat. So it is theoretically possible for the main competition to spill into other areas of the arena. Well, it's not really an arena, it's more of a fishbowl, but you get what I mean. Ultimately, I don't think there will be a Sekai Taikai event like this one, even if parts of it are cool. It seems to have been a way for Mike Barnes to judge many different abilities at once, if perhaps less than perfect. The fact that he ultimately decided he didn't have enough information to make the cuts for the final 2 slots seems to imply he acknowledged it is an imperfect system. But then that brings us to the last test. Yes, the final tiebreaker contest. The race for the flags. Now, much has been talked about the cheating or not so cheating but unethical move by Da-Eun to take out Kenny. However, I'd rather take a step back and look at it from afar. What is this contest going to have to do with the Sekai Taikai? That is the most important question. How does a race for the flag eliminate the 2 who weren't ready for the World Tournament and find the 2 who are? A specific point is made there are no refs and no rules. Will there be a section of the Sekai Taikai that has no refs and no rules? Well, perhaps not in the main event. There are definitely going to be out of the venue rivalries going on. We know that much from the footage, but I don't think it's going to play into the main tournament. The most you can surmise is someone takes out a key opposition fighter via injury or something else. While that may happen, I just don't think this test is really for something like that. You would also lose a lot of respect for the Sekai Taikai if they actually had an event that was sort of a race. That feels kinda dumb and not really karate-like. Now, as I said, there could be an element of ruthlessness needed to win the whole thing. If that is the case, then Da-Eun's sabotage of Kenny and Dimitri blasting Hawk's friendship to steal the flag could be the traits they need to win. It may actually be a sign of respect if something like that is needed to win an actual tournament. But then the jury's still out on all that. We'll have to learn in part 2 if these events are actually testing what happens in the Sekai Taikai or not. If there's no real relation, then I'd call this episode a failure. But if there are clear connections, it could be something cool. It would have the feel of Miyagi's teaching methods all over again, but this time with Mike Barnes. We'll just have to wait and see. Make sure you're subscribed as I'll be covering everything within Season 6. Have a great day. I'll see you at the next watch party.